Hello and welcome back to another magical page turner episode. If you're new, welcome. I'm Priscilla. I'm the owner of A Life Full of Simplicity. So today's episode is my September wrap up and my October TBR. So if you saw my last video, which I can link in the cards, I had quite a number of books on my TBR for September. I unfortunately only was able to get through 3 of them, and then I started a new book and started one of the other books that I had on my TBR as well. But I did have, I was very busy and I had a lot of stuff to do for October content for this channel, so I didn't have time to read as much as I wanted to. So the first book that I read, I didn't read it. It was an audiobook. I did listen to it. It was Sadie by Courtney Summers. So I have to say it was an amazing audiobook. So I highly recommend, if you do end up reading that book, that you do the audiobook. It was absolutely fantastic. The way it was done, the narrators that they chose, it was a great job. Honestly, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great book, great plot, premise, character development. Like, it was fantastic. It was very touching. The storyline is really that this girl, Sadie, her sister gets murdered, and then she disappears because she was trying to find the person that murdered her sister. And it takes place like sort of her story, like what's happening in the moment, and then the podcast journalist that is trying to find her. So the audio book is like her perspective and then the journalist perspective for the podcast. And I just really loved it. It felt like a crime series. Like if you ever listened to a crime podcast or whatever, or had a documentary, watched one of those Netflix crime documentaries or something like that. It kind of felt like that, but in story form. And I just really, really enjoyed that format, honestly. 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. It was very touching. There's a lot of trigger warnings. For sexual abuse, rape, addiction. So there is that, those sort of trigger warnings. I think there might be a few others, but I would suggest Googling it and seeing if there's any other trigger warnings. Those are the ones that I can remember from the top of my head. But I just really enjoyed it, and I think the author did a fantastic job. So the next book that I listened to, because I did do this on audiobook again, was Yoke by Mary H.K. Choi. Again, 5 out of 5 stars. It was such a beautiful audiobook. Honestly, the dynamics between the sisters in that book, so beautiful, so touching, so raw. And I just really loved the character development in that book. I thought it was really well done. And pretty much what happens is you follow these 2 Asian American sisters. They're Korean. And pretty much their dynamics between each other. One of the sisters has cancer. The other one has an eating disorder. And it's just pretty much navigating what's talked about, what's not talked about in culture. Like in certain cultures, certain things in your house are not talked about or done or seen. Crying for one is a big one in that book. Oh, we don't typically see our parents crying, or we don't typically see each other crying. So, it's really, really raw again. And I just really, really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was such a good book. And I think I'm definitely going to pick up some more books by her. She did a fantastic job. And I just really loved it. It was just so good. I don't know what else to say. It's 5 stars. It was so good. So good. And I did cry at certain points. I was just so touched throughout the book. And I thought that was so, like, done so well. So well. The last book that I read, or that I finished actually, was Waking the Witch by Pam Grossman. So it's Waking the Witch, Reflections on Women, Magic, and Power. I have been talking about this book literally for months. Like, for months. And I finally finished it. Like, if you can see all my tabs, like, oh my god, so many. And it was really good. I really loved it. I gave it 4 stars. Mainly the reason why is towards the end, it got a little too political for me, and I was just like, I don't care about Trump. I don't care about half the shit. Like, it was just too much towards the end, but it was very informative. Like, there was a lot of things I didn't know, and I really loved her analysis of, like, how witches have been portrayed in, like, media, and especially, like, movie media, and, like, really old movies and whatnot, and just, like, the history content in this book is just really good. I suggest picking it up only if you are interested, obviously, only just to get a little bit more into, like, the history of witches and whatnot. I thought it was really informative, and I definitely learned a lot. Like, I have so many tabs in here, like, so many tabs. I will do a dedicated video and a review for this particular book. I just need to sit down and write my review, so I have at least points and stuff, and then go through all my tabs and see which quotes I want to actually focus on and whatnot in this book. So it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I also love the fact that she brought her own history into the book as well, and, like, her own perspectives, and talked about her own biographical, like, the things that happened to her in her life as she was growing up and whatnot, and getting into her own craft. So it was very, very good, very interesting. As I said, just that last bit, I was just like, I don't know. Let's focus on politics and Trump, and I'm just like, no, thanks. I don't care. Like, no, I'm not even American. I don't care. But, another thing I did want to mention is that it is female centric. So obviously in history, if you think about history, it was mostly women that were portrayed as witches. She does obviously make mention that, you know, her views don't coincide with that. Like, she does believe that anyone could be a witch. It doesn't matter who you are. But it's mostly female centric because that's what history has shown. So it makes sense in that regard. So moving on to my October TBR. So, I didn't get a chance to finish. I did start, but I didn't finish the book Mabon Rituals, Recipes, and Lore for the Autumn Equinox. This is by Diana Rachel, I believe. And I didn't get to finish this. It is a quick read. It's only, well, that's an index, but let me see actual things to know. It's like 201 pages. It is a quick read. Some of these are recipes and stuff, or, you know, invocations and stuff like that. Like, so they're not as heavily important, but I did want to take my time and be able to tab certain things just for my review of it. So I didn't get a chance to finish this. So I'm hoping to at least sit down, maybe this weekend or this week, to at least finish reading this, at least. Then another book that I started in September but didn't finish also was Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. So I did get this book. It is a hardcover. I did start reading it. I am on page 118 of this book. I have tabbed it quite a bit so far, as you can see here. So far I've really been loving it. Sometimes the politics, I'm a little confused. Because I'm not very familiar with some of the things that she's talking about, especially when it comes to like Europe, right? Because this is set in Europe, primarily I think Ireland, but there are like some moments where they're in other places in Europe. So me, European politics, like me, politics in general, like I don't even care about my own politics in my own country, so I don't really know. But sometimes it's a little overwhelming, I guess. But so far I've really been loving it. There's been some stunning moments, like stunning. Page 42, I can tell you right now, page 42 really fucked me up, like emotionally, like wow. That was crazy on how much I related to this. So this has been really, really great so far. So I don't know if I'll finish this in October. October is spooky month, so I don't know if I want to finish this in October. I might finish this in November instead. But I just want to mention it because I am currently reading, well, I was currently reading this in September, but I don't know if I'm going to finish it in October. Probably not, because I want to focus on more spooky kind of books, you know? So, yeah. Now, my actual TBR consists of this book. It's this is my only non-fiction on here. It's Samhain, Rituals, Recipes, and Lore for Halloween. This is by, oh, it's also by Diana Rachel as well. So, yeah, this is like all about Samhain, which is like Wiccan Halloween. So I do want to read this and do a dedicated review on it. That way I can put it up before Halloween, but we'll see if I get to this or not. It is short, like the other one, the Mabon book. It's like 200 and something pages. Let's see. It's like 224 pages, but again, some of this is like invocation and recipes and stuff, so not as important as like lore and stuff like that, but obviously I do want to read it. That way I can make note that there's some interesting recipes in here that maybe I can try myself. So yeah, that was my first book on my TBR. The next book that I want to get through is an audiobook. So the next book I want to get through is Bunny by Mona Awad. I did put in a request for the audiobook from my library, so I'm just waiting on that. I should get it soon. So I do want to start listening to that. I could definitely, I don't know how long it is actually, but I can definitely get that. It's just me listening to it, so I'll probably listen to it while I work and stuff. Because that's usually when I listen to my audiobooks, is while I'm working. I actually don't know, just to mention about Bunny, I don't know what it's about. I've heard that it's a horror comedy. Other than that, I don't know. But it seems like people are really interested in this book, and they said it's good. So I was like, I guess I'll pick it up and see where it goes from there, you know? So hopefully I like it. We'll see. And then the next one I'm going to be buddy reading. It's The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I did start the audiobook, their other audiobook, The Starless Sea, but I didn't finish the audiobook. Honestly, I don't know if I'm liking the audiobook for that book that much. I might pick it up on an actual physical book and see maybe if I like that better for that specific book. But I'm going to do The Night Circus on audiobook. Again, I put in a request for that one, and I'm hoping to get it soon. That way I can buddy read it with someone. And we will see if I decide to pick up a physical copy. I'm not sure yet. My library doesn't have any available, so we'll see. And I don't really know what the wait time is for the physical copy. So I think I might just do the audiobook and just go with it and see where it takes me and whatnot, and see if I like the audiobook more than the Starless Sea, because the Starless Sea, it's good, like it's okay, like the narration is decent, but I don't know. That one's very long too. It's a very long book. And then the next one I want to read is Dr. Sleep by Stephen King. So I know that they came out with a movie for this, but I really want to read the book. I did pick up the book. I do have The Shining. My mom has like a really old copy of The Shining from like, I don't even know, the 80s or whatever. So I don't actually know what this book is about. All I know is that it's a sequel to The Shining. So I just want to read the back, like the synopsis that's on the back, and see what it's about. So it says, years ago, the haunting of the Overlook Hotel nearly broke young Dan Torrance's sanity, as his paranormal gift known as The Shining opened a door straight into hell. And even though Dan is all grown up, the ghosts of the Overlook and his father's legacy of alcoholism and violence kept him drifting aimlessly for most of his life. Now Dan has finally found some order in the chaos by working in a local hospice, earning the nickname Dr. Sleep, by secretly using his special abilities to comfort the dying and prepare them for the afterlife. But when he unexpectedly meets 12-year-old Abra Stone, who possesses an even more powerful manifestation of The Shining, the two find their lives in sudden jeopardy at the hands of the ageless and murderous nomadic tribe known as the True Knot, reigniting Dan's own demons and summoning him to battle for this young girl's soul and survival. It sounds good. So it's about the kid from The Shining when he's older. Yeah, it sounds good. I'm interested. Oh, it does say here now a major motion picture. Well, they just put it on Netflix, so I didn't even know they made a movie from this book. But then again, most of his books are movies or shows nowadays, so yeah. The last Stephen King book that I read was Salem's Lot, and I wasn't a fan of that one. Like, I gave it 3 stars. It was good towards the end, but it was very boring in the beginning. So I'm hoping that this one's good, because I did really enjoy, I've read a few. I've enjoyed The Shining, and I've enjoyed Cujo, and Pet Sematary is probably my favorite at the moment, and I've really enjoyed those. So yes, this. I'm hoping it's good. I do love the movie The Shining, though. That one's really good. Now, the last book I did talk about last month, and I also talked about it in my Witchy haul, which I'll link in the cards if you want to go check that out, was The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. So this is the cover. Beautiful cover. Absolutely love this. So I was meaning to pick this up also last month. I definitely want to at least start reading this. It's a fall book, so I can definitely read this into November, honestly, if I don't finish it this month. But I'd like to at least start it. I think it's a good one. If you watched previous videos of me, you would already have heard me read the back, but it's pretty much about this witch, Clara. She has the ability to control weather, but in all seasons. So typically, when you're born, you control weather for that specific season you're born in. That's the witch powers that you receive. But this one, she has special powers where she can control all weather, so all seasons. And it brings climate change into it, where she needs to help pretty much save, like, I don't know, the world or her town or wherever she's from like climate change, because there's a lot of dangerous weather, and it's starting to get out of control and whatnot. So it's really her. She needs to see if she can step up and do that for the world, I guess. But she's also scared about losing people. Apparently there's a romance in here, so I'm excited to see where that goes, because I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. And this paperback though, oh my god, I love it. It's literally fluffy. I love it. The paperback for the Stephen King one is not. It's so stiff. It's a little too stiff because it's one of those thin ones. They're like, it's so thin. So thin. So yeah, those are all the books. If I do have time, I do have some other Stephen King books that I have in mine and my mom's collection that I haven't read yet. So I could always pick up another book from that. If I want something else that's spooky to read, then I'll just pick up another book from his books that I have here at home. So yeah, that's it. That was my wrap up, my TBR. Let me know what's on your TBR. I'd love to actually hear from you in the comments below. What are you reading? What are you reading currently? What are you planning to read? Let me know. Maybe I'll actually add some of your books and suggestions to my own list and things that I maybe might be interested in reading. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, turn on that bell so you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. I do have a lot of content this October, so I do hope that you join me this spooky month. A lot's coming, so I hope you enjoy and join me. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as it's greatly appreciated, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.